All right, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I hope this makes fluff tube. I think it will. I went over the rules and regulations with Rob Cunningham in the dressing room. No punches below the belt. Keep the punches high. In case of a knockdown, run to the neutral corner. No standing 8 count. And the referee, and you cannot be saved by the bell. All right, Rob, you got all the rules and regulations. All right, folks, this is going to be good because Rob is going to deliver the executive orders by Trump for the common man to make it easy to talk about over the dinner table. He's going to kind of tabletop it for us in this interview. He put together a little PowerPoint presentation for us to understand it better. Rob is a management info. He has a management info systems degree, USAF and Delta pilot, formerly a Delta pilot, Merrill Lynch and Smith Barney Financial Services. Right now he's biz. What does DEV mean?
It's biz development. It's
development. Okay.
Leadership and sales. Yeah.
Comp owner for 22 years, financial researcher and author, fintech board member, private equity investor, community development. This guy's a smart guy. He's going to break down the executive orders of Trump and where we're at today. And then folks, there's going to be some words that we're going to kind of go over and brush over with a broad stroke because it's fluff tube. The rest of this interview will be found on ninoscorner.tv if it gets too hot and heavy. So, folks, for that reason, I'm going to read a commercial for Virtual Shield. Virtual Shield, baby. Virtual Shield. Your privacy is stepped on more and more each year thanks to major advancements in tech and AI, like kind of what we have to do here on YouTube. The most recent report is that AI will now monitor your facial expressions with cameras to detect and decipher your emotions in real time during live streams. This is just the latest example of infringement on your right to privacy. You must take steps to make yourself anonymous online now and protect your privacy before it's too late. It's only going to continue to get worse, folks. Using a VPN like Virtual Shield while online is no longer a choice, but a requirement. I use it. Otherwise, data like your Google searches, browsing history, frequent locations, and more are at risk. Virtual Shield 1 is leagues above other VPNs due to their strict no-log policy and lightning fast speeds. With Virtual Shield, nobody except you will know what you're doing online. I'm convinced Virtual Shield to give my audience a 30-day trial and try out the flagship VPN for themselves. They're so confident that you'll like their service that they've also added a 30-day money-back guarantee, folks, for a total of 60 days risk-free. This is only good for a limited time, so hurry and start your free trial today, folks. Click the link below. It's down there in the description box. Click the link below. Rob, thank you for joining me, man. I was on Twitter Spaces with you on that BlackBerry XRP discussion. I thought it was pretty interesting, pretty crazy, pretty interesting. I really liked the way you drove home a lot of points. So I was like, you know what? I think this guy will benefit my audience. And I just want to say thank you for joining me today on Fluff Tube and for stepping out of your comfort zone and doing this.
Hey, Nino, brother, I can't even tell you, it blew my mind. I tweeted out, what a bucket list for me. I had no intentions of where life has taken me in the last 3 years. And to have the friends that set that call up on Thursday and then have you on it, and then to have them invite me, and then for me to look on my phone and say, hey, would you come on my show? I just about like, you gotta be shitting me. I'm like, damn. So, hey, all I want to tell the whole world is the first video that ever went viral, I probably shared it 1,000 times. Your courage was so contagious to me and my wife and my community. The ripple effect of what you did and your example bled all through Georgia. I can tell you that, and all through my family. And I just hope everybody that listens to you would take a dose of that courage and realize there's nothing to fear but fear itself. And we got to face the boogeyman, and there's nothing wrong with doing that.
I appreciate that, Rob. The way I see it, and I tell my audience all the time, is that we are anointed. to slay these demons. Demons are less than human. They're not more than human. They're less. They're fallen. So to me, we have authority over them. It's just about grabbing that power and knowing that you have the authority and knowing that God is protecting you. That's why I do what I do, because I have no doubt in my mind that we have the authority and we are anointed to slay these bastards. Really, that's how I look at it.
David, every single person listening to this video is anointed. They have an anointing, whether they're aware of it or not is a different question. Okay, but for the believers out there that say that, oh yeah, the branch and the vine, they're connected. Jesus said, hey, these things I do, you can do an even greater things. Stop looking at me, the person. I'm trying to teach you the laws, the standing, the authority, the power, the Holy Spirit, all the things that I'm doing and showing for you. I'm the teacher, but hey, stop making it about me. Make it about the power. Make it about purpose. Make it about the laws that apply to all of us. I'm not just one cool guy. I'm here to tell you that you're all the son of God, the daughter.
100%. He didn't call us to be timid.
No.
He called us to be brave. And so I know people have that wrong. They think just because you're Christian, you got to just mind your business and pray. No, be bold, be bold. Go out there and slay these demons. This is a spiritual war. So with that being said, Rob, I really liked how you put things together on the Twitter spaces. And I'm going to give you the floor to show your presentation right now and explain this in layman terms to my audience.
Okay. Well, I will do my best. And again, thank you, brother, for having me on. Does that show okay on your screen?
Yes.
Okay. So when you asked me on, I put a lot of thought in this, Nino, and I meditated. I said, okay, I'm always trying to kitchen table what seems to be incredibly complicated stuff in a way that my neighbors, my friends, my family, my coworkers can kind of understand it without looking at me like I got a third eyeball on my forehead and they're oh, look at the time, I got to go.
Yeah.
So how do we put this last 3 years or the last 8 years into context and kind of understand, sort of what's going on? First of all, for everybody out there, man, for a veteran that signed his name and went to combat and decided he'd give up his life for anybody else that I'll never meet 99.999% of the people, to then admit, wait a minute, they screwed me too. They lied to me. I got put to sleep. I didn't know what was going on. I got lied to. You know what? And all wars are bankers' wars. And they sent me over there, and if you make it home, they wrap a flag around you and they clap for you, and it's all great. But rarely is the reason that you went over there the reason they told you were going over there, right? I mean, it's just one of those hard realities where at that point in time, we either have to eat a big old piece of humble pie, or we got to keep a chip on our shoulder and be arrogant and just go, oh, well, yeah, they couldn't do that to me. I'm too smart. I got 3 degrees. I'm driving a $150,000 Tesla, and get out of my way. I'm going to go get my 4th one of these. It's like, okay, you go do that, but we have to at a certain point in time go, wait a minute, what the hell's going on here? So there's 3 executive orders I want to talk about them and put them in the context of everyday conversations we've all had. So one is about the kids, and one is about governance, and one is about banking. Okay. If we don't have those 3 elements, if we can't have our own personal property, if we can't have self-determination and we're not sovereign, and if we can't protect the least and the most innocent among us, we really don't have a country. So let's put those things in that context and then take a fresh look at all the things that have been going on. And maybe afterwards we can ask ourselves some questions. I appreciate you giving me this little bit again about my background. The only reason I put it up there is nobody knows who I am. So I just want to say, look, I got a computer science and a business background. I got a top secret military clearance. I was an Air Force instructor pilot. I flew in Desert Storm. I flew Delta pilot for a couple of years. All of my investment banking licenses, Merrill Lynch, Smith Barney, financial services, dealt with high net worth people, in a lot of scenarios. Currently, we teach, we train, we help leaders get better. We help salespeople and business people get better. I'm a crazy fanatic author, researcher, writer, blogger. I'll share some of that. All of it's free. My purpose and my mission is to just learn everything I can, listen deeply, share what I learn. If I had $1 for every minute I listened to a Nino podcast, I'd be a gazillionaire, So
I didn't know you were a fighter pilot too.
No, actually I flew KC-135. I flew refuelers in Desert Storm. So
wow, I mean, okay, so that's still pretty dangerous to me. So
that was pretty cool. I had like 38 missions with a lot of fighter pilot buddies over there doing some crazy stuff. But
that's so cool.
Yeah. So anyway, I just putting this up there so people will go, who the hell is this guy talking? And what kind of street cred does he have? And who the hell does he think he is? I don't think I'm all that in a bag of chips, but I have been around the block and done a few things, and I can put some common sense together, and I can draw some conclusions pretty well. So, I got 4 main properties. I've got a Substack. I've published about 160 articles. They're all free. Anybody can go and look at them, dig into them. They're not terribly long. So if you want to follow up or learn more about the mind of this crazy guy from Georgia, robcunningham.substack. I'm pretty active on Twitter, and I've got a cool.show that I just opened up 8 or 9 months ago. But I put some good stuff up there, so you can visit that if you want to find me. These are the 3 executive orders I want to put into context, and they're about wealth, life, and freedom.
And then the others down there, folks, that you see there, there's going to be some words we're not going to mention just for fluff tube reasons, but you can read them down there, all right there in your face. But we'll just say wealth, life, and freedom. Then you can go down below there and see what they really mean. Sound good, Rob?
Yeah, perfect. That is perfect. And again, what I want to do is create unity, knowledge, awareness. I want to connect common sense with as many people as possible. This isn't left, right, rich, poor, black, white, gay, straight, Muslim, Christian. This is basic humanity would like to have their wealth respected. They would like to have a free life, and they would like to have freedom to self-govern, or at least be able to have some say-so, legitimate say-so, and how we are all governed, right? And so this isn't political. This is just factual. So these things, here are the birth dates on these executive orders. You can see, 10 days, 12 days after Mr. T came into office, he gave birth to the one on wealth, and he gave birth on Valentine's Day.
Now let me ask you this, because some of my audience members might be like, well, Biden can just cancel him out.
Well, and again, we can talk about Biden's status and Biden's legitimacy, and which Biden are we talking about, and does he have the authority to cancel them out? And does he, there's all kinds of things where you can say
in the end, when the dust settles, I guess the best way we can say it is that it won't mean anything. But Biden, whatever Biden does, it won't mean in the end, it'll be completely, I guess it would be fraudulent.
I believe he's going to implode himself, and those that put him are going to implode him. And I think that this is the old allegory about building your house on sand or on rock. Okay. And if all the sand is deception and lies and fraudulent forgery and blackmail and just junk, then that house isn't going to stand long. Right. And I don't think there'll be much of a legacy. So that at least I can pray, and it makes common sense to me. And if you look through history, it's always been true. So unless he's going to break the laws of history and break all kinds of precedent and be a super special guy because he's that intelligent, which I don't think anybody thinks that,
he's just doing what he's told.
Doing what he's told. He's right. The somebody else is pulling the strings. And so, you know, the money system, the life, and the freedom. Everybody cares about all of the live and let live, you know, but those are the three things we want to talk about. This spoke to me a lot, and I made this slide when I was listening this graphic, and this symbol, if you'll see the snake or the serpent, we always hear about that in mythology and in religion and in folklore, that the snake comes to divide and deceive and destroy. But this term Ouroboros and that symbol, oftentimes you'll see this symbol wrapped around pharmakia in the medical world and in the certain religions and their church world, and the top of the buildings and some of these really, you know, churchy places have the serpent eyes looking down on the top guy of the church. You know, I'm trying to speak in code a little bit.
Like the gargoyles, you mean?
Yep. Gargoyle, all that kind of stuff. Ouroboros, it's a never-ending cycle of lies, and it means to eat up, and devour. Lie upon lie upon lie. It's this never-ending quest to deceive, divide, and destroy humanity. From what? The truth. They don't want us to know. They don't want us to know what our power, our authority, our standing, our inheritance, our jurisdiction, our unalienable rights. You know, I got a little experience in the mortgage business. Break up unalienable. That means unalienable. You can't put a lien on Nino's life or my life or your life. We're not supposed to be tax serfs. We're not supposed to be indentured servants. We're supposed to be unalienable. No lien, no debt. Yet they figured out a way to change up the banking system and make us all drowning in debt. But at least make us think that we have to live that way. So to me, what this spoke, Nino, is the hardest thing I ever had to come to the final conclusion was that since the day I was born, I've been lied to my whole life.
Yeah.
About everything.
Our whole reality.
Our whole reality. And it doesn't make us bad people, Nino. What it does is it means we were all born into these systems of trust and tradition. I love my mama. I love my teacher. I love my preacher. You know, you go with I love football. You know, I love to wrestle I love to fish. I'm going to go in the military and serve my country. We do all these things just sort of without questioning, without knowledge. We just assume everybody around us is good. They mean well. We're all in the soup together, and we're all looking outside of us for answers and truth and what's right and what's wrong, instead of looking inside of us for the teacher to understand what the real answers are. You know, we understand what kind of power we are. So, you know, this hit home to me, and I hope it hits home to people that are listening, that every one of us is a victim. Every one of us has been lied to. Every one of us has been put into debt, slavery, and taxation, and faced two different levels of justice. You know, we'll talk about that later with what's going on in the news today. You know, a lot of people, most people would be looking at 10 to 20 years in the pokey for somebody who's not going to get a day behind a cell and get a little slap on the wrist. That's not even the way, that's not the way it's supposed to be. So, you know, this phrase, that being separated from or ignorant of and devoid of God's laws, we're destroyed. Okay? It's how evil works ceaselessly. It's always looking to find us, to find a gap, to find a way to land that uppercut, to find a way to land the cross, to feint one way and go another. Lying is their weapon and truth is our armor. Okay? And I'm ignorant of a lot of things. Being ignorant doesn't mean stupid. It just means I don't know how to do electrical work on my house. I don't know how to drive an Abrams tank. I don't know how to do open heart surgery. That makes me ignorant. That makes me stupid. Okay? Those that benefit from mass ignorance have an invested interest in keeping us ignorant, right? Feeding us a load of crap, keeping us in the dark, the old mushroom diet, right? You keep us in the dark and feed us crap, and then we wonder, how did we get here? What happened? You know, and until we can realize what's going on in the game and who the players are in both teams, you know, it's going to keep going. What they don't want is somebody to come around and wake everybody up to the truth. That's what they don't want. So I like to say that there was a lawgiver, and there was a law teacher, and there's a law book. Okay. The law was spoken, the law was given to all of us, and it was documented for us to go and learn and read and understand what these spiritual laws are. Okay. So that we can get spiritual wisdom, we can get divine understanding, and we can live a bold life. If we don't know what the real laws are, these people will give us every legal fiction and code and mandate and ordinance, and they'll make stuff up until the cows come home and tell us all the rules that we have to follow. If we put our vested trust in them and go, okay, well, you're the boss. You tell me how to live my life and what I can and can't do. You just give me the 411 million rules I have to follow, and I'll follow you. Or we can figure out what the real laws are. And
Fair enough.
That's the divide. So here we are, wealth, life, and freedom. Just so everybody knows, you can go to federalregister.gov. These are published out there. I'm not making these things up. Okay. These orders are out there for you to go and read in very simple English language. So what I want to do is break them down real quick. This one is near and dear to my heart. It's all about wealth. 10 days into office, President T says, let's fix this broken financial system. Let's fix what we know is crap. We know that we're bankrupt. We know it's insolvent. We know that money is not money, it's debt. We know that they're peeing on our leg and telling us that it's rain. Okay, this financial system is centralized, broken, and corrupt. So he created 7 core principles for regulating the United States financial system. And in essence, Nino, my discernment, bottom line, Trump came down the escalator with Melania to do one thing. That's to take the head off the central banks. That was the Goliath, and he was David. He was coming off the field. He was going to take him down. And what happened back in the day when Goliath got slayed? People lived happy, peaceful, prosperous lives for 1,000 years because they got rid of the tyrant, right?
Right.
So the creature from Jekyll Island, born in my state in 1913, basically attached a Federal Reserve system, which is not federal and not reserve, a foreign entity, took over the role of the United States Treasury and started printing our money and charging us to print money. The problem with that is, Nino, it wasn't money. It was a Federal Reserve note, not a United States Treasury dollar. It wasn't backed by gold or silver. It was backed by debt. And we became the gold and silver. So they collateralized those notes on the back of my future earnings and my labor and my property and my creations and my website, my engineering, my artistic ability to sing a song or to win a boxing match. You know what? We'll take half that. Okay. If you lose, so tough on you, but everything that you win will take between 10 and 50% because we get to. So if people,
it's extortion,
it's theft, it's deception. It is, look, the Bible talks about the wicked will store up the wealth for themselves and God will redistribute it to the righteous, right? At what point do we wake up and say, all that stuff that you have, you 99%, you 1% that own 99%, you stole it from all of us. It wasn't yours to take. You lied to us. You put us in this system that you created. If people knew that the Federal Reserve System was a privately owned for-profit bank owned by a corporation with headquarters in the city of London that was sovereign beyond any representation by our officials, even the President of the United States can't tell the Federal Reserve Chairman to have a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
The President of the United States can't tell that guy because he's a sovereign entity, an NGO, a non-governmental organization that's private and for-profit, headquartered in the city of London, runs our damn economy with no accountability and no strings attached. You think there's a gap for them to screw the system to benefit themselves and not us? Okay. The reason I portend that 24/7, 365, from the minute Trump announced and started coming down that escalator, they have hit him ceaselessly with howitzer cannons. It doesn't matter if he saved the whole planet. There was never another particle of global warming or CO2 in the atmosphere. They'd find something to bitch about him. Okay? It's not about whether he's good or bad, or whether he was divorced, or whether he used a bad word, or whether he is racist, or whatever they want to throw at him. It's about this. It's about follow the money. Why do we follow money? Because all roads lead to Rome. And Julius Caesar used to have all the power until Rome fell. We follow the money because those that are godless and those that don't have authority and don't have standing and don't have honor and don't have respect for your property and my property want to take your property and my property. And this is the system to have them do it. It turns us into debt slaves. They get all the goodies, and they leave us with the illusion that we still live in Yankee Doodle Dandy America, George Washington crossed the Potomac, and wear your flag, and I love America. And they let that fantasy thrive while we're in their system.
Exactly.
And this, you want to talk about coming to divide, deceive, and destroy? They've divided us from reality. They've deceived us as to what money actually is versus what they've turned it into. And they're destroying our ability to accumulate wealth. They're destroying our ability to live honorable retirement years, save up money, put it in the bank, have gold.
And this is why this is so important that this system comes down. This right here,
Exactly.
this is it.
Correct.
And that's what Biden is doing right now.
And well, good news is because we're de-dollarizing around the world, we're getting rid of that world reserve currency where their narcissism can emanate from one 10 by 10 square mile area and make everybody obey and take a knee to the God kings with the biggest military and the printing press in Washington, D.C. Everybody take a knee and obey, or we'll sanction you. Guess what? 80% or plus of the human population is in either the BRICS nations or the BRICS wannabe nations or the Belt and Road Initiative, where they are getting off of the dependency on the dollar, which is a debt tool. And they're going to collateralize gold and silver and diamond and oil and commodities-backed currency, not fiat currency. Okay? And so now you got, I think it's 65% of the GDP and 80 to 85% of mankind is leading the dollar.
Yeah.
Because sooner or later, no one is going to take this $33 trillion fiat paper that doesn't have any chance of ever being worth the paper it's printed on. Okay? I'm not going to drop my Toyota off at Long Beach Port for your crappy Pelosi dollar.
Right.
If you get something to back it up, I'll take gold, I'll take Bitcoin, I'll take XRP, I'll take some kind of instantaneous settlement with no counterparty risk. But I don't trust you. You guys are a bunch of liars. You're never going to pay your debt off, and I'm not taking paper for my gold or wheat or Toyota cars or semiconductors or blue jeans. I'm not taking that form of payment. And what people need to understand, we've all been in restaurants where they'll say, well, we don't take American Express here, right?
Right.
Fees are too high. Well, we're in a situation right now where the world's going to say, we don't take American dollars. It's not worth
It's happening
shit.
right now.
Right now.
Yeah. We're in free fall.
Well, we're in transition.
Yeah.
Nino, we want this system to free fall. We want this junk debt. I put a $20 bill in my pocket, Nino. It's not money. It's an IOU to the Federal Reserve. We want the Federal Reserve System to die so I don't have any more IOUs in my pocket. I want to have an IO me. I want to have I want that wealth. I want my labor. I want my prize money from the boxing ring to be there for my grandkid.
Agreed.
I don't want you to inflate it away and debase it away and tax it away and regulate it away and sue it out of my hands. We're called to think about not only our kids, but our kids' kids when it comes to wealth planning, right? We want to pass things on to the next generation. They want to take everything they possibly can at every turn. There's an adage, Nino, that says, it's really easy to make money, but it's hard as hell to keep it. It's because the whole damn system's been engineered to take it from us through taxes and inflation and booms and busts and regulations and rule changes.
Yeah, you do not own anything. I mean,
know,
try not paying your property taxes. You may pay off the loan, but then you have property taxes. It's like you don't own anything.
This level playing field, Donald Trump has talked about the level playing field for 30 years, not just since he ran for office. We need a level playing field when it comes to banking, when it comes to law, when it comes to opportunity, when it comes to everything in this world. Because we are equal, we ought to have a level playing field. None of this two-tiered, we'll pick the winners and losers because we're in the cool fraternity and you're not. And that's the perversion of our world right now, is we're in this two-tiered system. And this breaks that two-tier system, and this is why they hate it. There's not a person listening to this ought to not want a better financial system where we get to keep what we earn, we get to pass on what we earn, we don't have to worry about it melting out of our hands like an ice cube, and we ought to be able to have wealth and build wealth just like we used to be able to before the Federal Reserve took over. So that's one. Two, life. The second, on Valentine's Day of 2017, we're talking 30 days in. We're like, look, how about we go after transnational criminal organizations and drug cartels that are
preventing international.
Okay. So if anybody wants to, they can just screen grab this shot, then take a look at it and read it themselves. But there is nothing controversial in this executive order that says, let us take care of the least and the lost among us.
And hold on, this is very important for people to understand, because what's happening right now, well, I guess we could say trafficking is trafficking at the highest ever it's been through open borders. What's happening right now, the borders are floodgates for cartels and drug dealers and human trafficking to just pour over. And so this executive order, I believe, is extremely important for what's happening right now, because I believe, and I've had the Ghost on. Are you familiar with the Ghost, Rob? That I've had.
Sir.
The Ghosts have come on and said that these guys are being tracked because they're all being given phones. The survey flights that are flying are tracking these. This is like a massive sting operation. So from my understanding, like, folks, I don't have proof on this, just from what other guests have said, but this would make sense to me that these are all in place for what's happening now.
And let me connect the dot there, Nino. The reason that this makes sense is because they're drying up, they're insolvent. The banking system is insolvent and bankrupt. And the first or second biggest illegal commodity in the world is this. It's where they make more money. They can sell a bag of drugs once, and they can sell a person 20 times a day. Okay.
Right.
So they need the money. They're bankrupt. They can't keep the mafia operating because the printing presses are being dried up and there's no more money to be had. So this is their second form of making money. And this is why, if you follow the money, you'll understand why the borders are open and why people are going missing. And we're hearing all of these horrid rumors about what's going down underneath the ground.
Right.
What's going on in container ships and who's going to what island?
Who would have ever thought that human beings, just the same way we raise cattle and slaughter them for their beef, the same way we raise chickens and slaughter them for their poultry. I mean, who would have thought that we too do that to ourselves? This is a travesty to the human species, and it's our children.
And it is because they have robbed our minds of truth. They have lied to us. They've put us in systems where we just perpetuate lie after lie after lie after lie, right? The snake eating its tail. We just keep doing this over and over again, and we're not taught the truth, which is the real shame. What does the scripture say? We're enslaved by our lack of knowledge, right? So to every person that's listening to this presentation, Nino, I want them to know if you want to talk about reparations, there's not a damn person sucking oxygen right now that doesn't deserve reparations, because we've all been lied to, we've all been taxed, we've all been stolen from, we've all been regulated, we've all been inflated, we've all been lied to since the day we were born. But what do? Instead of us facing the problem, they pit us against one another. Oh, well, you got white privilege. Oh, well, you don't know what it's like. Give me a break. It's about divide and conquer. That's the age-old war strategy, right? Divide and conquer. Keep them fighting at each other. And if they're not fighting, keep them hooked on college football or Netflix or boxing or whatever. Bread and circuses.
Bread and circus.
Divide and conquer. But whatever you do, don't tell them the truth.
Right.
Whatever you do, lie to them. And that's how they keep the game going. And that, no one listening, this is not left, this is not right, this is not atheism, this is not Christianity, this is not Judaism, this is truth.
I've heard that there is actually, they go by a different commandments. This occult, it's like thou shalt not steal. For them, it's thou shalt steal. Thou shalt not lie, thou shalt lie. They want to lie. Confuse and deceive, so they go by a whole different commandments than what we do. And I want to dive more into that later. I have a guest that's coming on that's going to explain that.
It's a fake morality.
Right.
What it is, and they go, oh, but we have to tell you we're going to do it. So
you're right, for karma.
I told you we were going to do this in a movie that came out in 2011, and we're going to do it next week. But I told you, it's your fault if you didn't see what I told you in that frame that was on the screen for 6 seconds in a movie theater when you were 9. But sorry, those are the rules. I get to do whatever I want to.
Yeah, that's how they reverse the karma on them. They believe is a loophole for karma, for that not to come back to them. Right. It's sick.
It is
like they're gaming the system, basically.
Yeah, and they're harvesting our ignorance. And so the third one is freedom, and it's our birthright. Okay, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Right, that's what we signed a covenant with from us to God. To, hey, we just want to live and let live. Let us be here. These are the things we get to do. Here are our rights in this contract. And if they're not written in this right, Mr. Federal Government, go pound sand. Okay? Unless they're specifically given to you, they belong to the states or they belong to me, the person.
Right.
Not you. Okay? What the hell happened? And when did it happen to have 33 trillion, 175 trillion in unfunded liabilities, the biggest employer on planet Earth being the United States government? When and how did we go from muskets to the biggest employer on Earth? Okay. And if you want to read this, I don't think there's a person alive that could read this and go, huh, that sounds pretty radically racist and stupid to me. I can't get behind this.
Overt distribution of propaganda and disinformation constitutes an unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security and foreign policy of the United States. Heads of all relevant agencies shall transmit to the Director of National Intelligence any information relevant to the executive execution of the director's duties pursuant to this order. This is a very important one. This was in September, correct? Of 2018?
Correct. This was before there was a what?
This was before the bank robbery, folks, and I have to say it that way. And I know YouTube is kind of saying that they're laxed on this topic, but I don't trust it. But here, as you can see, this was they saw this coming. They saw this coming. They knew what was coming. And that's the way I interpret it, at least. Don't you, Rob?
Yes. Well, they saw us waking up to their game coming. They've been doing this since Kennedy or earlier, okay? They've been doing this since a long time ago, okay? We'll do another show on the whole history of that. But from a coffee shop breakfast table, at the local diner level, look at what we're talking about here. What storm, Mr. President? What storm are you talking about? Well, how about this? We should have a level playing field. Wealth matters to everybody. Stop stealing from people. These people are sick, what they're doing to the least and the lost among us. And we caught them all. We can't have a nation if we can't self-determine who's going to be who's going to lead us, right? We need to pick our own leaders and then eat our own dog food after we've done it. But we don't want to be able to think we picked a leader and then somebody else gets put in their place. So the basic three things: what storm, Mr. President? The Great Awakening is the storm. The Great Awakening is when we all figure out, wait a minute, they've been lying to us about money, they've been stealing our kids, and they've been putting in their own cronies to tell us what to do. How the hell is that freedom? How is that a life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness if they're going to do this? And there's a guy that came down and said, you know what? How about we cut this nonsense out? What do you think about that? Oh, Orange Man bad.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the context of why would he leave a life as a multi-billionaire with properties all over the world, success and fame and family and fortune and everything that he's got, and put himself in front of these incessant attacks if he wasn't doing it for a reason other than money? Maybe it was truth and honor and legacy. Maybe he's this blue collar billionaire.
They knew for over 30 years, or from what I've heard from Juanito, is that they have their playbook. They knew what these people were going to do, and they're psychopaths, and they want to destroy and then annihilate humanity, and then manage the rest of the remainder of 500 million, put them under a manageable, smart cities or whatever. And that is just slavery and bondage for the human species, and that cannot be allowed to happen.
In my own state, think about this. Not only in the Creature from Jekyll Island, where they perverted our banking system and stole all our wealth, they just last summer they blew up the damn Georgia Guidestones because they wanted to get the world's population down to 500 million people.
Yeah, but who blew them up?
I don't know, but the point being is they do have, I think I do. I mean, I can, it wasn't, they didn't blow their own up, just like Russia didn't blow up their own, what.
Exactly. That was letting them know, nah, you're not winning this.
Yeah, you're not winning that. So when people go, what storm, Mr. President? Maybe is that not a tell? Is that not evidence to the world that the good guys maybe had a plan to counter the bad guys? And the plan was to wake us all up. And here's the most important thing. I'm going to say that Donald Trump is, let me see why that last slide didn't, here we go. Let's see if I can make this work. Crap.
Okay.
I got to fix that slide. But this man, not a one of us is perfect, Nino. But to have a man that has been in the belly of the beast, had been in international hospitality and architecture and donated campaigns and went to weddings and birthdays and bar mitzvahs for everybody, who gave his private jet to Nelson Mandela and flew him all over the country when he came here, who sat with Rosa Parks, who is loved by his employees. This man that has been all over the world and understands life and politics and business. He knows how to apply the law. He knows how the game is played, and he's fearless. He understands law. He understands authority. He knows how to take a bullet. He can take punch after punch after punch, and he seems to get stronger because the lies and the deceptions and this arrogance, what they say, pride goeth before the fall, this collective arrogance, they hate him because he's going to take away their toys and their perverted toy box. They don't hate him for what he's doing. They hate him for what he represents. Okay. And I just want to say, you don't have to like the man's politics, and you can hate the rhinos and you can hate the Republican Party. I'm with you. Okay. I'm with you. I wish we had a truth party and that was it. I wish that we all had a common denominator of understanding what are laws, not legal fictions, but what is law with a capital L. Okay. I believe Donald Trump. Look at the fruit from the man's tree. Look at the fruit that he's bared.
You got to understand the operation. You really need to understand the mission.
Who you are speaks so loudly, I cannot hear what you say. He is 100-0. They can't lay a glove on him. They tell you they're laying a glove on you. They'll run endless wire-to-wire 24/7 newscast about he's finished, he's done,
Yeah.
400 years, we got him, we're going to impeach him. They haven't laid a glove on him.
And then they'll have, the women from The View to hackle and try to destroy his character. They use liberal syndicates like that, and it's just not working. People are seeing through this. So that's why this is the Great Awakening.
That's exactly right. And I just want to give a shout out to a man that had all of the last 3 years not happen, I would have never met. And he's changed my life. A man that understands look, he's not in a church. He's not in a religion. He's been around the block for a long time, 30 plus years in Africa and Ireland and Europe, and moved here about 3 or 4 years ago. Used to be a helicopter pilot, and one of the most brilliant men I've ever met in my life. And he's changed my life to understand that, first of all, we are spiritual beings, not human beings. So spiritual laws apply. If you don't know the laws, you can bitch and moan about why you're not a fighter pilot all day long. But until you study the laws and actually learn how to do it, you're not entitled to be a pilot. It's not racism because you're not a pilot. It's not gender bias because you're not a pilot. You got to do the work. You got to first get the knowledge. You got to go in the gym. You got to train. You got to learn truth, not BS. Once you get that solid knowledge, then you can pray for spiritual understanding and divine wisdom. You can, if you don't understand these laws, if I don't understand these laws, we don't own them. And I can't benefit from them. If I don't know they're true, and I don't know what the hell this Jesus dude was even talking about, and I don't know wait a minute, it said that God spoke the world into existence, and this guy came and taught it, and then he documented it in a book, but Lord knows we can't have that book in school, but we can't have that book in the school. We have lost our damn minds.
Yeah, we've lost our way.
We've lost our way. And the last thing these people want is a 500-year Trump legacy of people finding their way and finding their standing. If this man can take what he's taken for doing those 3 little simple things, wanting us to have our wealth back, wanting us to have our freedoms, wanting us to protect our kids and not traffic whatever around the world, and they're going to do that to him, what the hell are they going to do to me and you?
Exactly. He's like he says, he's just in the way.
This is not about party, people. Please hear me. It's not about religion either. I personally hate religion. I love faith. I want to know what faith and truth is. Too many churches, unfortunately, have been wrapped around with this 501c3 wrapper. They've been muted. They have to stay in their lane. If they say too much, it'll affect the collection plate because there's half are blue and half are red. And if I say anything too bold, my collection, it's nuts. Jesus, I just want to say this, historically, this is a historical fact. Jesus held special contempt for 2 groups of people. The money changers, because they were lying, cheating, stealing scumbags, and they were taking advantage of everybody, and the Pharisees.
Well, that would be, I guess that would
That's right.
I guess, yeah.
The Pharisees and the government were one. He used those as examples all the time. Don't be like that person. Don't do that. That's not what I'm talking about. No, you can have 947 checklists on your good box. And if you think a whole long list of goodies is going to get you a free pass through the pearly gates, so you get a 50-yard line seat in the Heaven Stadium, that's not what it's about. It's not about maybe sometime on the other side after I die going and getting a trophy in heaven somewhere. It's about living right now today. We live in this world, but not of it. How do we own those spiritual laws and truths and apply them like Trump does, or like you did in the ring, or like we're all sinners and we're all need to get our head straight. But what we need to also know is that the system is designed for us not to get our head straight. The system is designed to keep us dazed and confused and off balance and ignorant, so they can steal from us. They can harvest our wealth. They can put their people in place to do whatever they want to do. And then we become that useless eater. Little number 2 man thinks that we are, where, the Bible is fake news and we're just a bunch of useless eaters. And we need to live in 15-minute cities and eat bugs.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's what they have planned for us.
that we got option A or B. We can go the 3 executive order route, or we can go the bugs in the 15-minute city route.
And people need to learn the Constitution 100%. You know, there's too many police out there. I'm all for these auditing police channels that are out there on YouTube. I do back the blue, but only if they know the Constitution and know our rights. This is awesome, man. You put this on the Sound of Freedom. Yep, it's coming out July 4th, folks.
One of those 3 orders is about, if we can't, as a people, as a society, if we can't face this truth, how the hell are we going to fix it? And if we can't admit it's not necessarily our fault, but it did happen on our watch. They created this underground economy and ecosystem and monetary system and value system that it's kids and drugs and money and whatever you can think of. It's the most sordid, disgusting thing that we don't even want to think about. But closing our eyes and hoping it goes away is not a solution. The least we can do is go spend 2 hours with some Coke and popcorn and let the truth be shared with us. And if we can't do that, we're never going to fix our problem.
I feel like this is going to be the biggest movie since The Passion. I really do. I think Jim is obviously a friend of mine. He's like a brother to me. And I got to say, man, I'm so proud of him. And he's doing such amazing things in the acting world. He's going against the grain.
I loved your interview with him, Nino. Acting is his weapon, and what you're doing is your weapon. And people have to find their weapon, which is also their purpose. And when you find your weapon, whether it's you or Jim, President Trump, or whoever, when you find your weapon, you're invincible.
Exactly.
You're absolutely.
Rob, this has been an
Brunson,
my buddy Brunson. There you go.
Yes, sir. So we got a Twitter Spaces on Friday. We're doing a lunch and learn with Loy. Okay.
Oh, you're doing it with Loy? Okay. And
yeah,
that's I
that's
think it's on the docket for the 20. When are you doing this?
Friday, 12 o'clock Eastern time.
That's the 23rd. So that's the day after the Twitter space. I mean, that's the day after we get, well, we'll find out, I guess, if they kick it down the road, kick the can down the road more.
It's the 23rd. It's Friday. So we should have an answer, because
it could take a couple days, I think. Last time it did.
Yeah, it could take a couple days. But I mean, think about this. What Jim Caviezel's doing is on life, and what Loy's talking about is on governance. If we got a bunch of clowns who won't honor their oath, then the least we can do is say, well, get out, because we only want people that will honor their oath. They put their hand on the Bible and say, yeah, I'll follow the rules until they don't feel like following the rules. So this is talking about a civil case that's just going to tell people you knew the law, you pledged to follow the law, you were told about the violations, you were supposed to do X and you did Y.
Right.
You're out.
You're gone.
I mean, so all of this is just, anyway, if people want to go to that, come back and pause the screen and take a look, and just go on Twitter and look up at BlackBerry XRP, and you'll be able to find this space. And that's all I got.
Rob, you've been an amazing guest. Thank you so much. You're really going to help my audience. I don't know what to name this video. Trump executive order for dummies. What can we name this?
What matters?
Trump executive orders explained.
How about what matters most?
Well, it's got to be clickable.
Yeah, I got you.
I got to make it. I want as many people as possible to see this. So I got to do, for me, for the YouTube crowd, the audience, I want normies to watch this.
Yeah.
And this is such an important. I knew you were going to be an important interview. I really did, Rob. That's why I invited you on. I was like, something struck a nerve in me. It was like a spiritual calling. Oh, get Rob on the show. When I was on the Twitter Spaces, I was like, I got to get this guy on the show. He has a good way of explaining things and the ABCs of the executive orders. Rob, thank you so much for coming on Nino's Corner. This will be on FluffTube, folks. We might have to edit it a little bit, but it will go on FluffTube, and it will go on Nino's Corner.tv and Rumble. I'll put it on all three. So the unedited will be on Nino's Corner.tv. If there's any edits, I really think we kept it clean. So Rob, once again, thank you.
Thank you, Nino, for having me, brother. It's an honor to get to be on your show. I can't tell you how grateful I am. And hey, we got this. We got this. The other side is panicking. It's just a matter of time to get more people on board, We outnumber them. God wins. We win. Game over.
Rob, let's keep in touch, and I'll bring you on for another show. Let's talk about the Hunter Biden debacle and what's going on with the pleading guilty and all that good stuff. You up for doing another show in the next week?
I'd be honored. Thank you, Nino. Yes, sir.
All right. God bless.